Hello Tarot Tube. I am back from a fabulous tarot workshop weekend up at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. I'm going to name drop like crazy, Bennabelle Wynn, Mary Greer, and other luminaries. But right now I wanted to do, I just got home this afternoon and I wanted to do a quick walkthrough of this deck because I'm anxious to get it out of the box and start using it. And I wanted to just do a walkthrough, sort of an unboxing here before I get the cards all mixed up and whatnot. So without further ado, this deck is called Abstract Futures Tarot, and as you can see, it's very geometric. It is by a group, I guess that's the right word, called Hilma's Ghost. Now, Hilma's Ghost is a feminist art collective, and this is a collaborative project by two artists, Danielle Tigader, I think I'm saying that right, and Sharmistha Ray. Danielle was at the tarot workshop, and I feel like I'm going to open the box up. We'll talk about the sort of physical characteristics of this, but I thought I would just talk to you about this deck and who Hilma was rather, while we look at the images together. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the images. This is brand new to me. Here's one of the creators signed the box for me, and let's get into it. So as you can see, this is a gilded deck. Comes in our, here we are in 2023, our favorite magnetic close box. Here's the back of the deck, and here is the artwork on the front. So like I said, I'm just going to sort of walk through this. If I get a little ADHD and stop and jump around on a lot of different things, well, just forgive me. I am who I am. So who was Hilma? Who's Hilma's ghost? Hilma was Hilma of Klint, K-L-I-N-T, not Klimt. And she was probably the first abstract painter. No, not Kandinsky. Instead, this lovely woman. And now I'm going to put some down below. I am going to be putting some links so you can learn more about the feminist art collective that created this deck, as well as the Hilma being referred to in their title, Hilma's Ghost. So Hilma was arguably the first abstract painter, artist, and because she did not share her work with the world, people just didn't know it was out there. So yeah, but in retrospect, now you can go back and say, oh no, wait, she was before. Right, so there's a link down there. You can read about her. She believed in spiritualism. If you're familiar with that time period, the end of 19th century, early in the 20th century, Rudolf Steiner, that whole movement, that philosophical, theosophical movement, she was involved with that, and it obviously affected what she did. In one of the videos that I've linked below, there's a fascinating picture. She believed herself to be, I'm not sure what word she would have used, but psychic, prophetic. She had visions. And there's this one painting that pretty clearly shows some bad things happening to England. And yeah, I think she was right about that. So there we go. Now, Sarah Potter is a witch and tarot reader located in Brooklyn, along with the other people and the founders of this group. And apparently she came in at some point and did readings with these paintings. They were conceived to be tarot deck, but then Sarah Potter came in and did readings with these paintings. And again, below you will see a link to the Hilma's Ghost website where you can read her descriptions for these different cards. This is very much based on Rider-Waite-Smith, Pamela Coleman Smith's original art and meanings of the cards, the Waite-Smith collaboration. So very Golden Dawn roots, especially when you think about the time that Hilma was living. That makes sense that if you were going to do a deck in referencing Hilma of Klint, it, you know, in a time-space continuum thing, it makes sense to look at art that would have been, you know, Pamela Coleman Smith's lifetime. Yeah, and this is abstracts. Some of the other stuff that Hilma did was really beautiful botanical art. So very much not that like this, but you'll see that she did some fantastic, very clean, color saturated abstract work. Definitely worth looking at. Now, when I was speaking with Danielle at the tarot workshop, it was loud and things were very busy, and we really didn't get a chance to talk much at all. But she said something about color in the deck, and I believe that Sarah, if I got this straight, I hope I did, that Sarah Potter perhaps was influential in some of the color theory here. But I could have gotten that wrong. And if you have the time, there are several videos of people involved in the creation of this deck. And like I said, I've got links below. You can look at all of them. You know, take a couple of hours and you know, really get to know it. And I may do that. It would be good if I did that. But like I said, I was just so anxious to shuffle this deck and to use it. I have somebody specific that I want to do a reading for tonight. So here we are. I'm just going to do a walkthrough because I feel like most people who watch my channel, I don't think are going to be familiar with this deck, and I would love to see it get a little more exposure out there. Now I will say that it is not a cheap deck. This is an indie deck. It is fully priced at $100. I mean, when I sit down and I think about the, you know, the people who were involved and how much, these are big paintings. You can, if you watch the videos, you'll see how large these paintings are. And you think about, well, whatever the cost was to produce this deck, and this is, I'm sorry, we are going to stop and look at this. Okay, that's pretty cool. You know, nobody's getting rich off of this. So if you get this deck, as I did, you know what? I just told myself I'm supporting the arts. I am supporting some of the things that I believe in, spirituality, feminist-wise. This is a feminist artist in Brooklyn. That's something I can get behind. So I think you just have to tell yourself, look, if I was going to go to a museum, how much is it going to cost to get in? And just say, and then I get a souvenir. So yeah, I think there are ways you can look at this and say, no, it's definitely worth $100. Man, I can hardly wait to work with this. I'm so excited. I probably can't hear it in my voice because I'm physically tired. When you study tarot for, you know, a day and a half straight, no, let's say that adds up to 2 days. If you start Friday night at 8 and you finish on Sunday at noon, and you just have meal breaks. That's a lot of tarot, y'all. But it feels good. It feels really good. So what would I say about this art? I'm not going to actually critique the art at all right now. I'm not sure how this is going to be photographing for the video. I'm hoping that the colors are going to come across nice and clear. I think the quality of the reproduction is good, of having not seen the paintings in person, although there are plenty of people who have. It's these paintings had some showing and created a little bit of a buzz in the New York art scene, got talked about in the Times, and various art publications. So it's not a secret, is what I'm saying. But I haven't seen these paintings in person. This is my favorite suit. And let's see, this is generally one of my favorite cards, the Nine of Pentacles. So I can definitely see the color in the suits, right? So you can see here's the Pentacles have got, let me get that. They've got this very dark blue. I'm going to pull out the aces at the end because I do love to look at all the aces together. Our swords, they've got multicolors here, and this is interesting because it's got, it's not warm or cool. It's got a nice range here for the swords. The cups, though, do have, and I said when I opened the box and I was flipping through the sample copy with Danielle, I said, this is really interesting that your cups have got so many warm colors. We tend to think of it as water, and she was interested in that, and she pointed out that the emotions have warmth in them, and I was like, yeah, okay. I'm open, no criticism, just open to the whole thing. And then the wands are very clearly red, right? And then our majors have got these dark backgrounds, and I believe in my looking at the world that the abstract art itself somehow feels cleaner to me with these really dark backgrounds. I can't help wondering what this deck would look like trimmed. And let's see, I don't have anything near me that I could use to, no, I don't, because I'm really just thinking off the top of my head. So what would it look like? Okay, let's try this. This is not completely right because we've got this. You know what? I mean, it sounds completely insane with a $100 deck to even contemplate taking my little cutter to it, but look at that. I don't know, y'all. I might trim this deck. Okay, if you have an opinion on that, although, I do what I do, but if you have an opinion about trimming this deck, please drop it in the comments below. Okay. So let's go ahead and shuffle this because, like I said, I have somebody I'm going to do a reading for this evening with this. Now, this does have a gilded edge. Not my favorite gilding. And this does have that kind of glittery stuff. I'm not sure if it's going to show up, but it is coming off on my hands a little. And I did notice the sample deck that I was handling before, that the glitter was, the gold, little sparkly gold was getting on the cards, and I found it particularly not satisfying. Let me see if I can make it happen here. I found it really not satisfying on the majors. So there's another argument for trimming this deck. It looks like I'm getting there already just in these few minutes. Okay, shuffles and bridges really well. Sorry to those of you who cringed through the ridge, but when I can do that with my arthritic hands, and I do test the deck, although I don't do that all the time, then that tells me this is a deck. Yeah, I'm seeing the glitter here. This tells me a deck I'm going to be able to handle without difficulty. All right, so the person I'm going to be reading for tonight, and this is not a spread for this individual, is going to be a 3-card spread. So I am just going to pull 3 cards now, lay them out, and check to make sure that, you know what, I think if you do a lot of that riffle shuffling, though, this deck may bend, may bow. That's a concern. All right, but let's just, this is my way, doing it my way. This is the way I do it. I get 3 piles. Big pile. And I bought this deck specifically to do intuitive readings. So I have a feeling that this may be one of the decks that I shuffle in a way where I have reversals, because it's not going to be that important to me which direction, you know, in terms of reading. Well, I'm not articulating that clearly. Okay, so I didn't do a great job shuffling, but we have got 3 different things happening here. All right, so let me just think about this. So look, we've got all this warmth in these cards here, and then we've got some pulled over here, and I wonder what I would think if okay, now I'm even thinking about taking the titles off, like really going off script here. That would make it not a symmetrical card without the title. No, not doing that. Okay, that's out. Yeah, what do we see here? So I'm seeing a lot of vertical movement in vertical directionality in all 3 cards. But I'm also seeing this horizontal line that's pulling from the middle forward too. Okay, I think I could tell a story from this, but I'm not going to do it now because I'm not. And yeah, that's it. So there's like what they look like when they're together. I can't even imagine pairing this with something else, but I'm sure people do. So this is it. This is the Abstract Futures Tarot by Hilma's Ghost, a feminist art collective. And it doesn't look like the artists, the 2 main artists, actually put their names in here, but I met Danielle at our tarot workshop, and there you go. Yeah. So maybe if I, you know, work with this a fair amount, I may come back and do another video. I mean, if you're watching this in future times, then there will be a link to that second video. But for now, that is it for this deck. I think it's got a lot of promise. Oh, and for those of you who fan, let's see how that goes. Yeah, it fans just fine. So it's a lovely deck. I'm very excited to start working with it. And check out some of the links below if you want to learn more about this deck, since this is really just an intro and one woman's opinion. Bye-bye. Hit that like button on the way out if you can, except you, Elizabeth. You don't have to hit it. Bye.